Exciting day today. Today is the day the RCF gets loaded on a trailer and heads to its new buyer. We're not out of the woods yet. I still need to accept the wire, seed in my account. From that point, I'll get the title, bill of sale online, and hand the keys to the transporter, load this thing up, and it's gone. I'll definitely be sure to get some video of that. That's to follow. But I just kind of wanted to recap the sales experience. So I've had the car in the market a little over 3 weeks, and it's been fairly smooth, honestly. I do kind of what no one else does, and then I always list on Craigslist anything free. I always try that for a week or two just to kind of gauge the market. So I'll do Craigslist, Facebook, and Cars.com actually had a free option, so I went with those. Previously I've sold cars for around $10,000 private sale. It's pretty easy, right? I mean, most people can get 10 grand for a car. This one I knew was going to be a little more challenging, so I figured I'd have to pay for a service like Auto Trader and whatnot. Anyway, I went the free route. I guess just me being frugal. Anyway, if it all goes through, I didn't have to pay for a service. You obviously have to weed a lot of things out. Tons of lowballers. I really didn't come across any scams, not that I know of, on Craigslist or Facebook. Most of them, actually no, I take that back. On Facebook, a guy wanted to give me $37,000 worth of Bitcoin for the car. I told him no, which he had just like a really funny, like, I'm so sorry that I've wasted your time. You know, he was a nice scammer. I don't know, maybe it was legit. No Bitcoin, only cash. So the first buyer was a local guy. You always want to do a local for a myriad of reasons, but mainly you can go to the bank together. There's complete transparency. The person is real. They're standing in front of you. So it just throws a lot of like the weirdness out of the way, or potential scammery, you know, that could happen. Anyway, that didn't work out. He couldn't secure enough money for a private sale loan. Then the next buyer was on the West Coast in Arizona, and it was pretty straightforward and serious. And then he bought a pre-purchase inspection at Solo Motorsports, great shop here in Atlanta. They went through it, basically just noted everything, you know, that was kind of obvious to the car, like just a lot of minor cosmetic issues, you know, that a used car might have, rock chips, dings here and there. Obviously the front bumper, which I disclosed fully, had a tear in it. If you want the car perfect, you got to get a new bumper, get it resprayed. I opted not to do that. I can't remember how much I talked in length, but I ended up not even going to get it quoted. I just didn't want to bother with it. I knew it was going to be maybe in, for my cost, about $1,000, and that's just getting it painted, and then me uninstalling and reinstalling that bumper. But there's so many variables there, you know. Would I have to have wet sanded this thing? There's so many compound curves in that front bumper. It's just kind of a nightmare to wet sand and buff out, getting the color to match right, you know. So like to do a proper matching, you need to blend, whether it's the fender or the hood, and it's, honestly, I think it is a bit of a metallic paint. There's just a nightmare. I hate metallic paint for that reason. So I opted not to do that and just ended up lowering the price. So I started at about $37,000, and then I went down to $34,999, $35,000. And I basically, my negotiating tactic is, you know, people would ask me, you know, if I was negotiable, and I'd just say negotiable within hundreds of dollars, which I took that from Ed Bolian, one of his car selling tips, just to keep the, you know, I'm not willing to accept $30,000. I had so many $30,000, $32,000 cash offers, which somehow makes that more attractive. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm getting cash regardless if it's financed or not. So what I did find out with those 30 and 32 offers, I think 30 is essentially a trade-in value for this car after the work I put into it. You know, maybe it'd be a bit less just because of the COVID-19 mess. Maybe it'd be 28, 29. But around about 30, I think, is a solid trade-in for this car. And then wholesale is typically a bit more than that, so like what you would get at an auction. So you're talking maybe 32. So I had a lot of, I was also very blunt with people. I'm like, are you a dealer? You know, are you a private seller? I just want to know straight up who you are. And a lot of them would even be forthcoming with that. It's like, yeah, I'm a dealer. You know, one guy was like a Lexus specialist, and he offered me 32 cash for it. And I told him no thank you, but if anything, it gives you a ballpark, kind of like that's what they would want to pay at wholesale, because then they can, you know, do their thing and flip it and sell it for, I don't know, 38 maybe. That's where a lot of like the high-end dealerships, Carvana, any kind of Lexus dealership are selling this anywhere from 38 to 40, which brings back to the California. That's why Arizona, sorry, I said California, the Arizona guy and now the current buyer from California want this car because guess what? California's expensive. So this is probably going for 42, 43 out there. So having the car shipped, it's about $1,000. It's such a deal, you know, to get a car shipped, right? Because you're getting it for so much less. The problem is how do you trust each other? And we kind of went back and forth, like we were talking bluntly with the current buyer of the car right now. You know, like how do we do this? How do we trust each other? And there's just a lot of back and forth. I tried to send pictures, kind of tell the story, you know, like where it's, you know, it got emotional for me, right? Because it's like, yeah, this is my dad's car, and like I was sharing pictures of us in it, and like, hey, this is the day we picked it up, and all that just helps paint the picture that like I'm real, you know, this is my story. Everything stacks up, right? It also gets tricky too because I'm selling the car for my stepmom, and you know, technically or legally, the way you need to do it is to get power of attorney for me to actually sign for the car. Would be like the right way to do it. But what I did instead, we obviously trust each other, my stepmom and I, and she signed the title and the bill of sale over to me when I first picked up the car. So I basically had, you know, the blank check, if you will. At least in Georgia, you don't have to have a notary sign or a notary stamp and signature when you sign. It's just blank check, sign the title, boom. It could go to anybody. You know, I've had some good time with it. Even the past couple weeks, y'all saw in an episode previously, I took it up to the mountains and got that photo recreated. We took it up to Chattanooga to visit my wife's family. It was a fun road trip car. Actually, 2 kids in the back. It's totally doable. Your kids have to be small to fit back there. It was only like a 2-hour drive. I think you could definitely do 4 more hours, maybe 6 max in this car, which is really the longest you want to be in a car with kids. But it's an awesome car. At the end of the day, you know, I kept asking myself, you know, is this car me? Should I have it? And it's really just for that pull of it was my dad's. You know, it's something of my dad's. Here I am wearing one of his shirts again. This is kind of my thing for the series. This tacky Hawaiian shirt with like some bombers on it, some World War II airplanes. And no, you know, I was just like, I would not pick this car out, but I totally would want it for a time, just to like, you know, just kind of be wrapped around something of my dad's, and I think that's special. But I also just kind of came to grips with like what my dad told me. One of the last moments with him, we were watching a documentary about Joe Namath, really late at night. It was just so him, Alabama football and staying up late. So perfect moment. He told me, you know, he didn't really like apologize, but it was one of those like, he was like, sorry, I can't give you the car. And I had never asked for it or anything like that. You know, I was never looking, you know, for this car to be mine or would expect it to be. But he was like, you know, it's got to go pay the bills. You know, it's got to go back to my stepmom to help her out, because at the end of the day, you know, cancer sucks. It sucks because it takes people away from us too soon, and it's expensive, unbelievably expensive. So at the end of the day, this car, the sale of this car, is going to pay for cancer bills, medical bills, and I could have gotten the car for like a sweet deal, but you know, I was like, no, I can get my stepmom more money. You know, I'll take a commission off of it. I'll get to work on it, drive it for a couple of months. It's been the best possible scenario to make money and just to have something fun and just to be a grown-up about it, right? Like, it's a materialistic thing. I don't need this thing. I already have 3 cars as is. I don't need it. I have these other projects, which I'm thinking about selling this thing, the new bumpers on. I just love it, man. I don't know that I can do it. But, you know, it's just time to move on. And I think I saw a quote by Oprah Winfrey, and she said, that's life. You know, that's a big part of life, is being able to move on, and just the act of moving on. That's life. I mean, that's what you have to do. And just being less materialistic about like something, a thing that someone was, like that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I have my memories and my thoughts, and I'm creating this. This is more special to me, is like just kind of cataloging this. experience to have something. It just helps to talk it out. Here I am going on 10 minutes ranting, just sharing my story. So I'm excited. It's all clean. I think it's ready to go. Sitting here waiting on the transporter, stuck in Atlanta traffic. Classic. That's it. The payment actually posted. I was just checking actually before I left. I refreshed my Chase Bank account and it posted. It was said pending by the date. Oh, I see a car transporter right now, right behind us. You probably can't see it. Oh, he's pulling in right now. Oh, it's an open transporter. This car's gonna get trashed on the way to California. Let's see where this guy goes. Let me flip the camera around. There he is. Yeah, anyway, it posted, so meaning available balance, right? So it still says pending by the date, which is just like a cash transaction would be like. Let me go follow him or see where he's going. RCF is gone. It was quite an emotional moment to see that thing roll off. Already back at the house, and I've got to prep for a track day tomorrow in this thing. So I've got a lot of work cut out for me. It feels good. It was definitely like a release. Like it was the right thing to do. I don't feel bad about letting that car go or not spending more time with it or even buying it. It was the right thing. I just feel like I was kind of getting at it. You know, life is about moving on, and just small steps like that to move on, to live my life, you know. This was the right thing to do. We got more money to my stepmom to pay for medical bills. Got some time with it. Got to drive the thing. It's awesome. See ya.